Michael Swickard here. Welcome to Enchanting Stories of New Mexico. This podcast is sponsored by the Fresh Chili Company in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Our award-winning Hatch green and red chili is brought straight to you from locally owned farms in Hatch, New Mexico, which you know is the chili capital of the world. Hit subscribe to automatically get these podcasts. This is something from Randy McMillan, owner of the Fresh Chili Company. He shared a video of his recent trip to Hatch, New Mexico to see the chili fields. You can go to our website at Fresh Chili Company and you can see that. He was telling us that unfortunately the hail had hit those chili plants the previous week, but the plants looked resilient. Most of the plants showed 10 to 12 pods starting to break out. He spoke with the farmers, and they expected a great crop of Charger and G76 for your fresh peppers and favorite Fresh Chili Company products. Randy's excited to offer a deal on pure Hatch green chili, fresh red chili, sun-dried chili, and red chili roast to make space in the warehouse. If you buy 3, 6, or 12 in a pack, you can get them for just $6 a jar. Stock up now with your favorite Fresh Chili Company products. An interesting person in New Mexico was and is Dr. Fabian Garcia, the first researcher at what is now New Mexico State University, who in 1913, yes, a while ago, released New Mexico 9. It was a milder tasting chili pepper than what was for sale at that time. With a flood of new residents coming to New Mexico, the normal chili that they were able to get was just too hot. So work was done to tone it down a little. That's New Mexico 9. On the podcast Wednesday, in 2 days, I will spend my time helping you get to know the history of this great man and how he changed for the better the agriculture in New Mexico. Remember, this was at the same time as the Rio Grande project created Elephant Butte Lake and all the agricultural benefits of that water for farming, as Dr. Fabian Garcia created commercial crops. So it was a great time for our area. We want to congratulate our neighbors in Carlsbad, New Mexico on the 93rd anniversary of Carlsbad Caverns being a national park by an act of Congress. I was asked after a previous podcast how it happened. How did the Carlsbad Caverns actually get discovered? Well, it was a 19-year-old cowboy named Jim White, who in 1901 was riding back to a cattle camp one evening, and he saw what looked like smoke, so he went over to see. To his amazement, it turned out to be thousands of bats flying out of the ground, and I'll add right here, they do have where you can watch the bats come out, and that is very amazing. However, when he told the story of what he saw back at camp, he was not believed. So he came back, he discovered the entrance to the cave system. He went and got a kerosene lamp, some wire, some branches, and he fashioned himself a ladder to go down the entrance. He discovered the incredible caverns, which you now can see. No one back at camp believed him. Finally, a few came, and guess what? They became believers. Initially, the Carlsbad Caverns were a rich source of fertilizer because of the bat droppings, but there was also a huge interest as a tourist destination, and that's finally what made it a national park. You too can explore the caverns. It does take a registration, and I advise a jacket. While it's hot at the entrance, the temperatures in the caverns, which you may spend 3 or 4 or 5 hours in, it's a steady 58 degrees, so it's kind of nice to have a jacket. And it is also good to have non-slip shoes. As you drive to Carlsbad Caverns, you go through White City. Now, know this because people asked me this. It was not named for that cowboy, Jim White, who discovered the caverns. This town was named for an unrelated businessman, Charles White, who came, saw the caverns, and then saw the business opportunity of having a tourist stop right there where White City is. That's how White City got. New Mexico is tied to green and red chili. We all know that. We all enjoy the Hatch Valley chili fields. Now, this is chili with an E when you spell it, as in Hatch green chili. I'm not talking about chili with an I like chili con carne. And certainly it's not chili with a Y like Winters in Minnesota. Hatch chilies are chili pepper varieties commercially cultivated in the Hatch Valley of New Mexico, so that's why they're called Hatch chili. Did you know that in 1876, at this time, southern New Mexico and Las Cruces and Mesilla stepped into the modern world when the nationwide telegraph system reached Las Cruces? Then news from all over the world was daily instead of sometimes taking a couple of weeks. Like in the election of 1872, it was a mystery to people without telegraph. It took a couple weeks for the word to get who had won. The telegraphy, the operating of the telegraph system, was a modern occupation for many years. Now, my grandmother, Frida Greenberg, later McKim when she married my grandfather Eugene McKim, was a one-room school teacher in the Cloudcroft area in 1908. In her technology lessons, yes, that was part of reading, writing, arithmetic, there was technology. She had typing on an Underwood No. 5 typewriter, so people learned how to type, the QWERTY system, and they also operated a railroad telegraph sounder that click, 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 click. Students were modern coming out of her schoolrooms with technical skills that could get them a job, especially the telegrapher jobs. Of course, she taught Morse code. She and her sister Catherine, a few years later, taught at the large 8-room school in White Oaks, New Mexico. Typing and using the telegraph sounder were part of their instruction at that school also. And I still have an Underwood No. 5 typewriter and a telegraph sounder. According to the New Mexico Department of Game and Fish, anglers can find a variety of warm water species, including largemouth and smallmouth bass, walleye, white bass, catfish, bluegills, perch, and pike in New Mexico lakes and reservoirs, and there's also a variety of trout species in the lakes, rivers, and streams throughout the state. Now, this is important. Angler education fishing clinics offer basic fishing skill clinics for school kids, families, communities, and civic groups. You can look on the New Mexico Department of Game and Fish website for a link so that you can take this instruction in fishing. I think that would really help. If you have a fresh caught fish, a few spices, and lots of good green chili, it makes for a great dinner. Now, take a picture, upload your picture on Facebook, and tag the Fresh Chili Company, or ask to join our private group, which is called Fresh Chili Cooking, and upload it there, and you'll be semi-famous for what you've cooked. Here's one of the recipes on the Fresh Chili Company website. It's by Chris Lang. He's a Fresh Chili Company partner and owner of the Organ Mountain Outfitters. And boy, does this sound good. Hatch chili mashed potatoes. Man, that sounds good. Prep time, 10 minutes. Cook time, 15, 20 minutes. Total time, 30 minutes. Serves 6 to 10. Calories, 745. Ingredients: 6 large potatoes, 2 sticks of butter, 1 tablespoon of parsley flakes, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1.5 to 2 cups of grated cheese, 1 teaspoon of salt, a quarter cup of chicken broth, quarter cup to a cup of milk for consistency. You get all that stuff together, then add a teaspoon of Hatch red chili table seasoning, and then this is where you make it. You put 1/2 to 1 jar of Hatch red and green chili sauce. Good. In a large bowl, bring the water to the boil. Put in the potatoes. You can peel them if you want to, and cube the potatoes. Once the water has reached a boil, cook the potatoes for 10-20 minutes. Once the potatoes become tender, drain, add cheese and butter to the hot potatoes. Be careful with your hands. Add spices to that and the chicken broth, and mash them all together. Now, here's the trick. Add in milk as needed until you get the desired consistency. Some people like the consistency a little more, a little less. Cheesy mashed potatoes with chili are best served hot. One last Western story. There was a mystery tied to a Western lawman, Bat Masterson. Bat Masterson, you may know that name. He was Bartholomew William Barclay Masterson. He had a colorful history as a gunfighter and sheriff in the wild town of Dodge City, Kansas. In his lawman role, he was in several shootouts. Now, in the 1950s, this is how you probably know him, Hollywood made a black and white half-hour television series using his name, Bat Masterson, and, of course, fictionalized scripts. There was 108 episodes. They were well received. Gene Barry was the star of that show. The real Bat Masterson, after he was in Dodge City, moved to Denver and over several years became a writer on prize fighting. He liked prize fighting and he wrote about it. So he became a sports writer. In 1902, he moved to New York City as a sports columnist in a newspaper. Now, here's the strange part of all this. Long after his death in 1921 at age 68, historians and firearm collectors were surprised by how many pistols people had that they swore that this was a Bat Masterson pistol. And so finally they figured it out, and actually several of his friends kind of told on him after a while. He had sold these people his, quote, prized Old West pistol. I don't have the exact number, but it was a number of them. Turns out that as a celebrity and a writer in New York City, people kept coming up to him and asking him to sell them one of his Old West pistols. So he had a bright idea one day. Can you see it coming? He regularly went to pawn shops quietly, bought old six-shooters. Didn't matter whether they worked or not, long as they had the hardware and looked right. He would carve some notches in the handle to indicate gunfights, and reluctantly, so to speak, he reluctantly, when asked, would sell his prize pistol for cash. Many families had an Old West Bat Masterson gun. There's kind of a little humor in what they were doing there. But now, overall, though, remember, it's an important collector item since it really did come from the Bat Masterson, So if you see for sale a Bat Masterson pistol, there's a joke there. There's just a joke. One thing that happens when people live in or visit Las Cruces, they can come by the Fresh Chili Company gift shop. I want you to know there's a gift shop at 1160 El Paseo Road, Suite D7A in Las Cruces, New Mexico. It is open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. You don't need to ship things when you live close or you're visiting. And then also you get to look at all of it and decide that jar looks good, that one looks good. And I'll just tell you, they all look good to me. If you're living far enough away to ship, if you buy 12 jars, we offer free shipping if you live in the lower 48 states, so that excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Stock up and make sure you always have plenty of that which makes everyone smile. Hatch Valley Red and Green Chili. And now remember this, a case of that delicious chili would make a great present for somebody who moved away and still has a taste for Hatch Valley Green and Red Chili. Also, if you buy 3 jars, we'll donate 1 jar of our award-winning Mama's Salsa to a local food bank here in New Mexico. It's called Casa de Peregrinos. They provide school lunches and much more to those in need in our community. It's a great organization. This is Michael Swickard with the Fresh Chili Company podcast, brought to you by the Fresh Chili Company. Thank you for your time today. We'll always have lots of news and stories about New Mexico for you on these podcasts, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Our Wednesday podcast will always be about people. If you have something you would like me to talk about, history or chili, in the future podcast, email me, Michael at freshchilico.com. Fresh Chili Co.'s all together, no dots until you get to .com. So Michael at freshchilico.com. Have a great rest of your day. Oh, and Eat plenty of good Hatch Valley chili. Like I always say, some chili is good, more is better. Bye for now.